hello there everyone, it's me again, your Timmy64 with another emulation video. Today I want to decide to make a video on like which version of Burnout 1 is better to run via either nethersx2 or Dolphin emulator. Basically Burnout 1 was released in 2001 for PS2, GameCube and also OG Xbox, the original Xbox from 2001. Now, basically, the question is which version is better to run? Like, how well does the game do on both emulators, nethersx2 and Dolphin emulator? Basically, also, like, which version should you download if you have a powerful device? Yeah. Sadly, I cannot include the Xbox version because, so about that, X1 box is still in the early development stage, so sadly, I'm not including that version. So we're first going to begin with the lower versions and the best versions of the game. So first we're going to start with nethersx2, so let's do nethersx2 first. Okay, so we're back here with the GameCube, actually no, sorry, not GameCube, the PlayStation 2 version of this game. So I have tested this game out a few times and it generally doesn't run too bad for the most part. I mean, of course, if you have a powerful device, you can probably upscale the game to probably like 2x or more. There isn't really much I could possibly report from this game. The game runs at a full 60 FPS with not a lot of slowdowns, to be honest. Sorry for my coughing, guys. But either way, yeah, this version doesn't actually run generally too bad. I mean, of course, this is technically the first one, and considering also that this game was at least just made 25 years ago, it's actually quite good, to be honest. Quite good actually. The handling wise and everything else is actually not too bad. Only thing I just personally find about this game is a bit like like not sorry, like a pixely or like pixel-ish, to be honest, because this was the PS2 version of the game had a lot of jagginess. It's just genuinely like not that my thing, to be honest, but either way. But of course, if you do have a powerful device, you can probably upscale this game to like 2x or possibly even 3x, depending on how powerful your device is. But either way, now we are gonna move on to the GameCube version. So let's go into Dolphin Emulator. Okay, so we are now back with the let me put this way, the GameCube version of this game. Sorry for my pronunciation. So the GameCube version of this game, I'm with confidence to actually say that this version is probably the best version to emulate. This version was technically released about a year later in 2002 for like the GameCube and OG Xbox. Of course, this game is genuinely different from, almost visually different from the PS2, but still generally keeps the gameplay. Of course, the game doesn't have as much pixely type graphics as compared to its PS2 counterpart. Performance wise, the game runs at a full 60 FPS with no issues. What I was personally able to say, the game doesn't seem to have any frame rate issues or anything. So yeah, of course this version is much easier for me to actually upscale to 2x, because when I do actually upscale it to 2x, the game generally does not seem to actually lag. So yeah, even if you do have maybe like a mid-range phone, probably if you do, you could maybe just upscale this game to 2x depending on your hardware, because the phone I was using for this was a Mali GPU G77, like a Mali G77, which the GPU itself is an Exynos 990 containing that. Since this is a Samsung Galaxy, sorry about that, a Samsung Note 20 with the flagship model, unlike its Snapdragon processor, sadly, of course. But either way, yeah. So let's just exit the game here real quick. I just want to exit here. So, what are my conclusions on both versions? It depends on what you're really looking for. If you're looking for a version that's generally easier to run, I'd recommend like the GameCube version, and also it doesn't have as much tough AI compared to the PS2 counterpart as the PS2 version. But if you grew up with the nostalgic feeling, which generally I haven't, since you guys probably know it's just a 13-year-old speaking about a bunch of old PlayStation 2 games. If you guys maybe played this game back then and you really owned a PS2, stick with the PlayStation 2 version, if of course you probably played it back then. So which one would I personally prefer is, personally, with confidence, I'd personally take the GameCube version. I like the GameCube version because it's not too tough, but it is technically difficult at the same time, but not too difficult. It's generally much easier and reliable to actually run compared to the PS2. I'm not saying the PS2 is bad, I just generally personally choose the GameCube version. I mean, yes, I do appreciate the PS2. The PS2 version I will maybe touch on so and so, but maybe not, maybe I will. I'm not quite sure, since the PS2 version I do like because of its visuals. However, according to Google, it like said that basically the PS2 version is generally more superior. The only thing is the jagginess, which generally is a bit of a problem. The other problem is if you actually try going mid and moderate or even maximum underclocking of the game, the screen will actually start to shake and the frame rate becomes terrible. So do not do that. I highly don't recommend doing that because nethersx2 has a thing for doing fake 60 FPS, which it has done probably lots of times, and a lot of games like this generally get bad. But either way, if I had to actually pick one, it'd be the GameCube. But it's completely your decision, people. You get to choose best of both. Or if, of course, the OG Xbox version, if you probably even own a Windows PC, you can probably use XEMU. However, sadly, I'm not going to be emulating the OG Xbox port in probably like a few years because X1 Box and Haiku X, which these are forks of XEMU, sadly, they are still in a very early development stage. So sadly, I'm not going to be emulating those. But either way, if you guys generally enjoyed this video, please consider on like and subscribing. And if I should do maybe more of these emulator versus emulator. It's going to be a little series where I basically take two games from different consoles and I'll tell you which version is the better one to emulate. If depending on your hardware, of course. Either way, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I also want to thank you, probably not because thank you guys genuinely much for 150 subscribers. I wouldn't have made it without your help. Thank you very much and bye bye.